and a good phone number for you.
A quiet estate in South Carolina and a family whose life would be shattered in one night. Meet Alex Murdaugh, a prominent attorney from a powerful legal dynasty who soon realizes detectives already know he faked crying. What did investigators find that contradicted Alex's story? Tonight on Liu, we walk you through the case. You are about to hear about the heartbreaking case of Alex Murdaugh. This is a lighthearted true crime, no graphic violence still. Please take it slow. She kind of felt like Alex was up to something, you know? She even texted people saying he was acting weird. She told folks she was worried about him, like something wasn't right. But honestly, nobody really paid attention, worried about him, like something wasn't right. As a few hours later, she'd end up losing her life in a really tragic way. On January 25th, 2023, the case officially kicked off, and people in South Carolina were already calling it the trial of the century. Alex Murdaugh wasn't just some small-town attorney. He was part of this huge legal dynasty in South Carolina. Pretty much a household name down there. His family's law firm goes all the way back to 1910. Generation after generation of Murdaugh men becoming lawyers and taking over after their dads. On the surface, he was a family man from a respected, influential clan. But what sat beneath that image would turn out to be far darker than anyone imagined. About 2 years before the events at Moselle, Alex's younger son, Paul Murdaugh, was at the center of another tragedy. Paul was said to have a risky behavior pattern similar to his father. The incident hung over the family like a storm cloud.
They hated Paul Murdaugh, and they had anger in their heart.
The Murdaughs were already well known locally. Their law firm had long been a pillar of the regional justice system. But as terrible as that crash was, what happened on the night of June 7th, 2021 would far surpass it in scale and would eventually drag Alex Murdaugh into a global spotlight. On June 7th, 2021, Paul was at Moselle, the family's 1,700-acre property. Alex would later say the land, its fields, woods, and kennels, was Paul's passion. The father made the final decision. Young Paul would end his life there and would never leave again. Around 7 p.m., Alex and Paul were riding around the property, checking on the trees like they had done many times before. At 7:38 p.m., Paul recorded a Snapchat video of himself and Alex laughing at crooked trees. Later, that innocent moment would become critical digital evidence. This short clip effectively dismantled a central part of his early story. By about 8 p.m., they made their way back to the house for dinner. Maggie and Alex had been living almost as an estranged couple. She had been uneasy about going to Moselle that night and even mentioned that something didn't feel right. Text showed she felt something was off, that Alex was up to something. She went anyway. At approximately 8:22 p.m., data from 3 different apps on Paul's phone placed him at the dog kennels on the property, the exact area where the later incident would unfold. Around that time, Paul is texting friends, he's tending to the dogs at the kennels. Meanwhile, Maggie and Alex are near a truck talking. Evidence and later testimony suggest that conversation by the truck may have been tense, possibly a final argument between them. Alex's anxiety appears to have been building. If he had a plan, the window to act was that clip. Multiple voices can be heard, including Alex's, anchoring him at the scene.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Bubba. Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
In the background of that evening, investigators say Alex took steps to prepare. Details that later emerged. He had a blue raincoat that could protect his clothes and help shield firearms from moisture. The scene that follows at the kennels is deeply disturbing. Paul is lying face down, having suffered catastrophic head trauma, then goes about cleaning up, washing the blue jacket, leaving behind puddles of diluted blood and water. At 8:55 p.m., Maggie's phone is activated despite the fact that she is no longer alive. Investigators say this was one of Alex's mistakes. He handled her phone and accidentally turned it on. He then takes car keys from Paul's pocket, leaving a blood stain inside the pocket. Returns to the main house, arriving by around 8:58 p.m. By 9:02 p.m., his phone records 283 steps, suggesting he's pacing, moving back and forth, possibly trying to steady himself and think through next moves. During this window, he calls Maggie's phone, sends her a text. On his way out later, he discards Maggie's phone along the roadside, trying to separate himself from it. Alex then drives to his mother's home, where he stays about 20 minutes. However, he tells his mother's caregiver to say that he was there for 40 minutes instead. At 10:07 p.m., he calls 911, reporting that he has just discovered Paul and Maggie unresponsive at the kennels.
Where's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child just got badly.
Officers arrive on scene at 10:26 p.m. They find Paul and Maggie at the kennels, both beyond help. A chaotic, emotionally charged scene. A husband and father whose behavior will soon be examined very closely. Next, we'll look at Murdaugh's body language and behavior during the interview.
803-942-1227.
As the camera rolled, Alex stared off into space, blank and unfocused. Was he performing grief just for the camera?
And sir, what was your name?
Yeah, Danny Henderson.
Okay.
As he recounts the incident, he controls his voice with great skill, creating a sense of emotion that is timely, concise, and intentional.
And, you know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see.
Though, in fact, there are no tears. For a brief stretch, his breakdown seems more authentic, especially considering how Paul may have been an unintended casualty in a bigger plan that focused on Maggie.
42-1227. Then I went to my wife, and I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both.
Okay.
I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them.
In this passage, Murdaugh seems much calmer about his wife's death, which is in complete contrast to his strong emotional reaction when he discovered his son's death.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No.
What was their relationship like?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure we had little things here and there, but we had a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship.
Only after a pause does he admit that they had little things here and there. But investigators already knew. Maggie had been living separately. She had hesitated to come to Moselle. She had told a friend something felt off. Alex's version didn't match the digital trail.
And yours and Paul's relationship?
As good as it could be.
How old was Paul?
22.
Okay.
The way Murdaugh keeps his gaze steady and cool as the questioning continues suggests he's sizing up the interrogator. He was nervous, and that tension increased every time questions touched on what happened that night.
Has he received any direct threats related to the boat accident?
Oh, yes. All the time he gets
recently?
Yes, sir. I mean, he gets them all the time.
Okay.
He gets them all the time.
Even when the officer avoids eye contact, Alex keeps watching him.
So is there anybody that you can think of that we need to talk to tonight? Is there a name that comes to mind?
I mean, I can't tell you anybody that I'm overly suspicious of off the top of my head.
Okay.
You know? I mean, this is such a stupid thing. I'm even embarrassed to say it. But it just didn't make any sense. I just hired a guy out here, and he wasn't cutting the mustard, but I hadn't told him this yet.
Gage said there was no one suspicious, but immediately began listing possible suspects.
He killed the sunflower seeds in our dove field just recently, which is why Paul was here doing this. He told Paul a story the other day about how when he was in high school, he got in a fight with some black guys. And the FBI undercover team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs, and that their job was to kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy, you know,
What's his name?
CB Rowe.
Murdaugh then moved on to talk about a worker he had hired, adding vague claims that the man had been involved with the Navy SEALs or the government, then immediately offered an elaborate story about CB Rowe, a story so bizarre that it seemed prepared in advance.
Do y'all store any weapons out here?
We don't store them, but they're frequently out here. I need to find out if there were any out here, because I know there was a shotgun. There was a 12-gauge shotgun out here. I'll have to find out exactly when that was. I think it got put up, but I'm not positive.
What did that shotgun look like?
It was a camouflage. I want to say it was a Benelli or maybe a Beretta. I can't remember which brand it is.
Murdaugh even went so far as to describe in detail a gun which, he said, was not kept on the property, but which may have been present on the crucial night.
But I don't think it was out here
Okay.
recently. But I'm not positive.
The fact that he kept changing his level of certainty and offering explanations before being asked highlighted his nervousness, suggesting he was saying anything that might help to portray himself as innocent.
What did you do today? Were you at the office or?
Nope, I was home. I came home. Paul and I messed around. I was up at the house. I laid down, took a nap on the couch, probably, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. I got up, I called Maggie, didn't get an answer, and I left to go to my mom's. She had said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there.
This excessive fluency suggested that he had prepared his testimony in advance, perhaps even arranged a story of the day before being asked.
What's another number in case I can't get you on your cell?
I don't have a house phone.
Okay.
An office number. I can give you my brother's cell phones.
The evidence problem. Investigators found a blue rain jacket covered in residue, shell casings matching the weapons, ammo boxes matching the casings found in different areas, suggesting movement or cleanup. Paul's phone captured Alex's voice at 8:44 p.m., destroying his alibi. Alex was at the scene around the time of the incident, contrary to what he had claimed. This made everyone ask the central question: why would a father, a husband, make such a cruel decision? Alex had been diverting funds for years, and on the morning of June 7, he was confronted about missing money. In fact, documents show that on the morning of the incident in September 2021, the law firm's CFO directly asked Murdaugh to explain the missing money. In September 2021, Alex claimed he was attacked changing a tire. The wound was superficial. As his health stabilized after the shooting, Murdaugh quickly made a tactical move, voluntarily entering a treatment center to buy himself more time to manage. On September 15, 2021, the Murdaugh case took another turn with a startling discovery that showed Alex's level of calculation was far beyond what was previously thought. Investigations revealed that Murdaugh had hired Curtis Edward Smith to stage a deliberate self-inflicted injury to ensure his son Buster would receive a $10 million insurance policy. Curtis Smith, 61, was arrested by police. Investigators said Murdaugh allegedly asked Smith to carry out the attack with the intention of seriously injuring him as part of a pre-planned plan. Alex allegedly gave Smith weapons and specific instructions on how to carry it out. After multiple indictments for financial crimes and fraud, Alex was charged with taking the lives of Maggie and Paul. He pleaded not guilty. The Murdaugh tragedy reminds us that appearances can be deceiving, and even prominent families can hide devastating secrets. Cases like this show the painful moment parents realize the danger too late, and why vigilance matters. If you suspect domestic violence or family harm, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, SAFE. All calls are confidential and available 24/7. You've been watching a true crime documentary from Leo. Stay aware, stay informed, and speak up if something feels wrong. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for upcoming investigations. Before we finish, remember that the moments you've witnessed are real and carry real consequences. Every detail, every testimony, every clip is preserved as part of the record. We present these events carefully with respect for those affected to provide context, encourage reflection, and promote understanding. The intent is never entertainment at the cost of human experience, but truth as it occurred.